Y'all, I'm particularly nervous about this live because it's kind of big words and I don't want to turn anyone off. And if this is not your jam, I totally get it. But I have to prove to myself the why. I don't know why I have to prove the why, but I have to prove the why. So I've made a few little visual aids because I'm a very visual learner and I have a lot of notes. And I promise you, I'm not pronouncing things properly necessarily, but I'm going to give it my best shot. I am not a doctor. I'm a hobbyist. I am enjoying teaching myself about CBD, about what makes up CBD. So I was thinking, as we've been talking about CBD, and I'm reading this book that I keep telling y'all, Healing Oils of the Bible. I'm also reading another one about terpenes that's talking about terpenes are inside of CBD. Let's see, today I went through my netter. Everybody who's ever been in any sort of medical field, we love our netter. My netter is falling apart. This is the Atlas of Human Anatomy. I went through my graduate school pathophysiology book. I went through my graduate school and my college anatomy and physiology textbooks, but don't be impressed because there was absolutely zero mention of the endocannabinoid system. And I guess that kind of dates me a little bit, but I graduated from graduate school in 98. So I've often heard that, and I've always repeated that the endocannabinoid system was discovered in the late 90s. But what I read today was cited that it was 1988. So by the time I got my textbooks, they were probably written in the early 90s to mid 90s. And so it just wasn't a thing yet. And so I didn't learn about the endocannabinoid system in Dr. Omley's neuroscience class. But today I feel like I'm making my AP biology teacher in high school proud, Ms. McIntosh, who knows where she is. And chemistry, my Patty Baugh, I'm actually doing a little bit of chemistry here, although she's the only reason I liked chemistry, was my teacher. But I've got a lot of good information here. I'm going to talk slowly, and I hope that I can impart some fun stuff for you. If this is not interesting to you, I get it. But my passion is, okay, so we've gotten down to essential oils work, and CBD is the essential oil of a hemp plant. But why do essential oils work? I need to know why. It's still just an oil. So I have lots of notes here, but when I couldn't find the endocannabinoid system mentioned in my textbooks or my notes and anything that I found, and I sure don't remember learning about it, I started Googling it, and I found this article, which I know is dated a little bit because I think it was written before the Farm Bill was passed, but it's very interesting. It's written by Dr. David Allen, and I'm going to read just a little excerpt. But he did a survey asking medical schools if they studied the endocannabinoid system. And the introduction says, the discovery of the endocannabinoid system is the single most important scientific medical discovery since the recognition of sterile surgical technique. I've said that before, and this is not even the same doctor. As our knowledge expands, we're coming to realize that the ECS, which is endocannabinoid system, is the master control system of virtually all physiology. However, research and education of medical students involving the ECS is being restricted. And, it can go on to say whether it's political or what. I'm not going to get into that. But they're not learning about the endocannabinoid system in medical school currently. I called a couple of my friends that are doctors and nurses also. Let's see. The total effect of the endocannabinoid system is to regulate homeostasis, prevent disease and aging. The more we learn, the more we realize we're in the infancy of the scientific field of study. The ECS is a control system that involves tissue receptor proteins, cellular communication, and control molecular anatomy and the scavenging of oxygen-free radicals. The discovery of the ECS will replace the current medical system of managing and treating disease. Instead of management of symptoms after the disease has occurred, we will prevent the disease and cancer by manipulation of the endocannabinoid system. So I was trained in the medical model. I'm an occupational therapist, and you find the symptom and then you treat it. But the way natural paths or functional medicine doctors think, they want to prevent illness, right? We all want to prevent it. We don't want to endure it. So you want to prevent it before it actually happens. But some of these responses in here, just to keep it light, when they asked, they were asking these medical schools if they taught the endocannabinoid system, the response, how do you spell that? Number 2, you're a prospective student, not with these kinds of questions, you aren't. Are you aware what type of institution we are? Why would we offer that here? I have no idea what that is. There were actually 2 schools that said that they have leading researchers in the area, but of all the medical schools they talked to, we don't teach anything like that at this school. This is a school for people who want to become doctors. It was just amazing, and it just shows there's still so much education to have out there. And I'm not knocking medical schools or doctors because they know far more than me, but it's new, and it's something that new's hard to embrace because we have the scientific method and it has to be proven. And people think that essential oils are new and alternative, but guess what? They're original. They're not new and alternative. They're original form of medicine that we were practicing. That I think it showed that over 1200 BC, there's documents of essential oils being used in China, but there was even an article I read today that says they think essential oils were using before documented time. Of course, we had the Garden of Eden, we had oils and we had plants, and we were using their barks and their stems and their leaves and their oils and their petals, and we were using everything to heal our bodies. And then along came our world where we had to go through the scientific method, and big pharma came involved, and hey, Deanna, and medicine came along. And I'm going to tell you, not only am I trained in the medical model, but I was also a pharmaceutical rep. So I have gotten it from all angles, and I have respect for every position, but I also think that it's okay to continue learning and to continue being willing to look into something that's new and something that's different. So I got off a little bit there, but let's see. Let's scroll down to remember that I'm not a doctor. I'm just doing this for fun, and as I learn it, I get really excited. And I actually told my sister today that I think I just want to go to medical school. I don't want to be a doctor. I just want to go to medical school. And she told me that means I'm a big nerd. And maybe I'm a big nerd, but I'm just fascinated how what I've learned in the past, I wasn't fascinated by it. But now as it is applicable to what I'm doing and what I'm loving and what I'm learning, it's so exciting. So there's going to be a little bit of review from the last live that I did. I don't know how many days ago it was, but it was this week. But listen to that one if you haven't listened to that one first. But basically, there's 2 kinds of oils in our plants. There's fatty oils and there's essential oils. Essential oils circulate throughout the plant to carry out its functions in order to survive photosynthesis. These oils are smart. They know how to make a plant function. They know how to produce food for the plant. And in essence, it produces oxygen for us, right? So fatty oils are created from the seed. And this is where I really learned something today, where they remain uncirculated in the plant. The oils that are in the seed are uncirculated. And we've talked about that with CBD, that the hemp seed oil is not what you want. You want what's from the flower. You want to know what, oh gosh, did I close out Facebook? Please tell me I did not. Oh no, I'm still there. Okay. So, the reason that they are in the seed of the plant is because they're to stay down there because the heavy seed oils of the plant are for the preservation of the plant. It's not for the current life of the plant. The oils stay in the seed of the plant in order to produce and be prolific in the future. So I'm going to quote, it's from this book that I'm reading, The Healing Oils of the Bible, page 22. It's just better to read what they said. To manufacture the sugars and starches that serve as food to the plant, it takes sunlight beaming on the green stems and leaves containing chlorophyll, along with a root system to draw minerals and moisture from the earth, right? That's photosynthesis. We all learned that in biology. When a seed first germinates in the ground, it has no stem, leaves, or roots. So how is this plant supposed to live until its food factory is ready for production? That fatty oil that's in the seed is just enough food for the new plant to live until it can make its own food. So that is why the oil in the seed does not circulate throughout the plant. It's not essential in the life of the plant, but it's the fatty oil that provides the food in the seed as it's germinating, which I thought was pretty cool. Never thought about that before. But we mentioned that plants were created for their own essential life-giving properties, but they also aid in human life-giving properties. Plants use their odors to attract animals and insects to pollinate them. And one thing I read about, some plants will actually lose their scent after they've been pollinated within 30 minutes. So once the purpose of the scent is used, then they lose their scent. Their fragrances disappear. They have gum to trap bugs. They have chemicals to prevent UV sunlight from harming them or shriveling them up and drying them out. Some blossoms even close at night to protect them from predators. Plants are smart. They're so smart. And I've never thought about it like that before. So we talk about the smell, and if you can't smell an oil from a distance, then it's probably not essential. And this is why. We can't smell liquids or solids. We only smell gases. So only molecules that can vaporize and jump into the air can enter our nose and be detected and smelled. And the oils that vaporize do so because they're incredibly small. And we know from last week, we were talking about the AMU, which means atomic mass unit, how they could pass the blood-brain barrier because they were so tiny. They also are able to jump into the air because they're so incredibly small and we can breathe them in. So think about the opposite, the oils for cooking, such as canola or peanut or almond oil. They may have a slight smell, maybe a little bit, but you can't smell them across the room. Like if someone were to open a bottle of peppermint essential oil or cinnamon, it wafts, you can smell it. Those are the essential oils that have the tiny molecules that are, hey, Annie, that are popping into the air. So that's a little bit of a difference between the two. But when you breathe in that tiny essential oil molecule in the back of your nose, it hits what's called the amygdala, one of the great words, AMYGDALA. And it's part of your brain. It's the headquarters of your limbic system. And your limbic system manages and stores all your emotional experiences. The amygdala does not understand words. It does not understand languages. Its language is smell. So essential oils provide a powerful means to contact the nonverbal part of our brain. Isn't that pretty cool? So everybody has something that smells bring back a memory, right? I think of my granny had a garden all the time growing up, and I could go smell that fresh cut okra, or I could smell the tomatoes on the vine. When you smell that vine, you can, when you go on a walk or you have that fresh smell of rain. Love going to Colorado and smelling the pines. Those are all things that you smell that goes into the amygdala, and those are the essential oils. And what we're going to learn about is the terpenes are actually what make things smell. But we hear, when we're talking about emotions, we hear that stress makes us sick. We hear that all the time because I think we're a stressed out world. But that's an emotion. Sadness makes us sick. When we cope with the loss of someone or something or a relationship, that makes us sick. So stored emotions can actually make us sick. And our amygdala not only stores our emotions, but then it files them away. And those emotions can be filed anywhere into our body. And like for me, I know when I get stressed out, if I have something going on, it goes straight to my stomach because my stomach is my weak spot. I know people who have migraines regularly. If they get stressed out, it goes straight to a headache. I mean, that's how everybody's body files their emotions in different places. And that's pretty cool too. And I'm sure that gets into a whole psychology class of finding those emotions, but they really are memorized in our cellular, just the basic cellular function. So going to the blood-brain barrier, we talked about that before, and you hear this on a daily basis if you if you're pregnant, you don't want to take any medication that passes the blood-brain barrier. You don't want it to affect baby's brain. But one of the most powerful healing aspects of essential oils is their ability to pass the blood-brain barrier. And we mentioned that before because their molecules are so tiny. They can pass through and even carry certain molecules with them through that barrier. So a better term might be filter. It filters things out because there's known chemotherapy drugs that doctors say don't act or don't work for brain cancer. And it's because not all of the molecules that are in those drugs can pass the blood-brain barrier to get to the cancer, which I thought that was interesting too. I didn't know that. But only molecules, which we said before, that are less than 800 to 1,000 AMU, and don't worry about AMU, that's just a weight. So just little bitty can get through, and studies show that they must be lipid, and lipid is another word for fat. So lipid or fat soluble molecules. Water soluble molecules don't penetrate the brain tissue. I learned that today, well, this week too, which is fascinating when people talk about water soluble CBD. There's a whole nother can of worms. But even when they're very small, if they're not lipid soluble, they do not pass the blood-brain barrier. The molecules of essential oils are not only small, but they're lipid soluble. Remember that, fat soluble. Which the reason we want them, on a side, to be fat soluble is because we take our CBD oil with MCT oil, which is a fat, medium chain triglyceride is a kind of a fat, and that's why they absorb so quickly when we put them under our tongue. But because the tiny molecular structure of essential oil molecule, they're extremely concentrated. Like I heard one time, if you get rose oil, it takes like a truckload of rose petals to make one bottle of rose oil, but that means it's incredibly concentrated. So one drop of an essential oil contains approximately, math is not my forte, 40 million trillion molecules. That's a 4 with 19 zeros after it. And in our bodies, we have 100 trillion cells. So one drop of essential oils contains enough molecules to cover every cell in our bodies with 400,000 molecules. It only takes one molecule to be the right kind to open a receptor site and communicate with the DNA to alter your cellular function. So that's why I said before, some people can put like peppermint or cinnamon, a real notably strong one, on their foot, and within a minute they can taste it in their mouth because they're so tiny. They've literally moved through all of your cells, and that's if your cells are healthy. That's why some people can't do it, because your cells are not healthy and not communicating as efficiently as they should. So if you can see why a very tiny amount of oil can have profound effects on the body, the brain, and our emotions. And that's what I was always saying. We put this little bit amount in our mouth. How can that go to our whole body? And that's why, because they're so concentrated and so effective. In fact, sometimes, and this is something I've learned from Marlise, a sweet girl on our team, that too many molecules overload the receptor sites and they can prevent them from responding at all. So that's why when we say to use CBD, less is best, or go low and slow until you find your proper dose, because if you overload the receptor site, it may clog it. I mean, that's the way I'm imagining, is it clogs it up and it makes it to where that receptor site is not open and receiving. So if that's the case, you get off your CBD oil for a couple days, and then you get back on and start low and slow again. And that gives it time for those receptor sites to clean themselves off. So essential oils of every kind cross the blood-brain barrier, which makes them capable of addressing disease, not only from a physical disease level, but also the fundamental level of emotions, like we said. And I'm still learning about that, but they're often the root cause of physical illness. And, I was talking to someone, open book, I went to a counselor about my anxiety that I was having after all my surgeries. And she said that so many people that come to see her, psychiatrist, their pain, which I have chronic pain, is caused because of emotional pain. And if we can solve that emotional pain, then perhaps the pain in my body can go away. So that's not my expertise, but I've heard that many times, and I'm learning that. And I'm also watching as my CBD helps with my anxious feelings, how it really does work. So, okay, that was a little bit of a catch up. I have little marks that say breathe for a second because we're going to get to where we're using some big words, and I don't want it to be overwhelming. So, you can get a pencil if you like. You can record this or rewatch it again. But the end result of what I'm about to say is going to be a huge light bulb moment, I hope, because it was for me. We're going to have a tiny bit of chemistry in here, and you don't have to do a chemistry equations or anything, but it's my illustrations because it helps. And I promise it's very, very basic chemistry. So what are essential oils made of? We know they're small. We know they're tiny. We know they're great because they pass the blood-brain barrier. But what are they? Like, what is the smallest part of them, and what makes them work besides the fact that they're small and they can pass the blood-brain barrier? Essential oils are composed of carbon. Remember what I always say is that if something is carbon, it's organic, which means, and it's living, it means it is made by God. It is carbon, it is living, it is organic. So they're composed of carbon, hydrogen, and sometimes oxygen. That's what essential oils are, if you get down to the root of it. All essential oils are composed of a class of compounds built of isoprene units. An isoprene unit, oh, I have this. And you don't have to memorize this. I'm just trying to break it down for you. This is kind of the big one. And I've got to see. Can you see this? Isoprene unit is C5H8, and the weight is 68 AMU. So that means it's tiny, right? The isoprene unit, where am I? Because I don't remember all this, is C5H8. Its molecular weight is 68 AMU, which means it's extremely small. Their molecules built of isoprene units are also classified as terpenes. And terpenes, I'm distracted by the comments. Hi, Rebecca. Okay, so terpenes are what make essential oils unique in the world of natural substances. So terpenes is what I said I was reading up on. Okay, so after the terpenes, I'm getting there, just a second. I've got to make sure I have all my little things in order. So we have the isoprene unit, which makes up terpenes. Terpenes, and I've got to see my picture so I can make sure I'm getting it. Then we have monoterpenes, C10, H16, and the molecular weight is 136. Remember what I said, that they had to be less than 800 in order to pass the blood-brain barrier. So terpenes are teeny weeny, and those are monoterpenes. We're going to discuss 3, so we're almost halfway there. But there's approximately 2,000 varieties of monoterpenes. The most important ability of the monoterpene is that they can reprogram miswritten information in the cellular memory, in the DNA. With improper coding in cellular memory, cells malfunction, and then disease results. Just like getting clogged, or there's, if there's abnormal growth of cells, it causes anything. It causes, I don't know, would a skin tag be an abnormal growth of cells? But anything abnormal in our body, it's because our usual healthy, proper coding has been somehow reprogrammed and messed up. So the monoterpenes can reprogram that miswritten information. Somewhere along the line, certain cells get miswritten. Then the next one, this is my favorite. Oh no, shoot, it didn't print. Dang it. But they're called sesquiterpenes. SESQUITERPENES. And that's C15H24. Again, carbon and hydrogen. And it's 204 AMU. There are more than 10,000 different kinds of sesquiterpenes. And I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I like saying it. But they deliver oxygen molecules to the cells in the same way that hemoglobin delivers oxygen to the blood. They have the ability to erase or deprogram miswritten codes in cellular memory. So sesquiterpenes are thought to be especially effective in fighting cancer. They can deprogram misinformation in the cells. And then they also bring oxygen to the cells, which creates an environment where cancer cells are not able to reproduce. So they kind of give cancer a double whap, whap. They can deprogram, and then they kind of starve the cells. Okay, we're getting there. The AMA, the American Medical Association, says that if they could find an agent that would pass the blood-brain barrier, they would be able to find cures for ailments such as MS, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, a whole gamut of issues. But these agents have been around since Bible times, before documented history, like we said, essential oils, but particularly those containing sesquiterpenes that oxygenate the brain. So that was the 3. Did I hit them all? Monoterpenes, phenols. I feel like maybe I missed one. Did I miss one when I got excited? Oh, I hope not. Oh, I did. Phenols and phenylpropanoids. Sorry, guys. Someday. So these are phenols. They're C9H10. Low weight. And they create conditions where unfriendly viruses and bacteria cannot live. So the most important function is that they clean the receptor sites. Scrub, scrub, scrub on the cells. Without clean receptor sites, cells cannot communicate with each other, the body malfunctions, and sickness results. We keep hearing the same thing over and over, right? You can't function with sick cells, is what you might call them. They've got to be clean, and they've got to be communicating properly, just like anything. I mean, we all, without getting into neuroscience, these receptors have to be able to talk to each other. And if you've cut the phone cord, they can't talk to each other, and therefore things start to break down. So in summary, we're to the summary. So get excited. What's so cool, they call this the triple threat. PMS, phenols, monoterpenes, and sesquiterpenes. They are believed to be the major aspect responsible for the therapeutic power of essential oils. This is why essential oils work. It is thought that, number 1, the phenols and phenylpropanoids cleanse the receptor sites. This allows the proper transfer of hormones, of neurotransmitters, of steroids, and all the cellular messages that we don't understand necessary for a healthy cell. Got to fly. Number 2, after they cleanse the receptors, the sesquiterpenes come to the rescue, and they deprogram the bad information. They work within the cell to move oxygen across, to transport materials inside the cell, which allows for the DNA, you know what DNA is, and RNA, to deprogram or erase the bad information from the cellular memory. Okay, so we've cleaned it. We've gotten rid of the bad stuff. We've used our eraser. And then number 3, the monoterpenes, they swing in and they reprogram the correct information. They work inside the cell, the actual cell, and they work between the cells to protect against free radical damage, and properly reprogram the strands of DNA and RNA as they were originally and should be. So they reprogram the cells to maintain healthy bodily functions. Whew. I hope that I simplified that for all of us, for me too. It's just an aha moment to realize we've got to scrub and clean those cells. We've got to erase the bad stuff, and then we've got to reprogram the good stuff. And that's why essential oils are so amazing. And the reason, guess what? They're this smart. Why? Because they're organic. They've got carbon. That means they're living, and they're God-breathed and God-made. Antibiotics can't do this. They're not smart. They're synthetic. They saved my life. I believe in the power of antibiotics, but they came into my body, all 10 of them at one time that I was getting when I was sick on IVs out the wazoo, and they killed every good thing and every bad thing in my body. And I'm so glad they killed the bad things, but they killed the good things. And so I had side effects because all the good flora was gone in my body, and I had to take tons of probiotics, and I've had side effects from that. But when you take a plant and you take something that's God-given and God-made, you don't have those side effects. They work together. Essential oils work together, like CBD and THC synergistically to multiply the benefits of the therapeutic value of taking an oil like CBD. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. Okay, I am officially a nerd. But these three chemical components, what were they? Again, you're going to be tested. They, the phenols or the phenylpropanoids, sesquiterpenes, and the monoterpenes are why essential oils work, they think, so quickly and so often permanently by restoring the body back to its natural state of balance. And its health will be from the most basic and fundamental levels within the cells. It repairs at the cellular level. So that to me just is mind-blowing that they can go into every single one of our cells in our body and rewrite the program and fix us. And they fix us in a way that can repair us. And just like I said last time, I was taking chronic medicine for discomfort. And it wasn't healing me. It was a Band-Aid. And I needed more and I needed more. And honestly, that's how I found CBD. I didn't want to take more medicine for discomfort. I take thyroid medicine because of all my autoimmune diseases. And you know what? They told me I'm going to be on it for life because it doesn't repair my thyroid. It makes it to where I'm dependent upon that medicine. It's not healing me. It's sustaining me. So the beauty of oils is that they truly can heal and heal permanently. And the reason it can, with consistency and constant use, is that it actually reprograms the smallest part of our cells to be normal again. So, I got through that and I was nervous. And I hope that y'all understand that. And I hope y'all, if you have questions, let me know. Hi, everybody. I love you too, Rebecca, if you're still on there. TTF. But I hope you'll have a great night. And hopefully that helps understand the basic, amazing properties of essential oils, being that CBD is an essential oil of the hemp plant. All right. Y'all have a good one.